Scrolling right now. If you have ever loved someone who could not choose you, this story will hit you harder than you expect. Watch till the end, share your thoughts in the comments, and decide for yourself who is right and who is wrong, because what Bai Lu finally said to Shen Yue changed everything forever. For days, silence had been louder than any confession. Shen Yue had been drifting through her schedule like a shadow of herself, showing up, smiling when required, then disappearing the moment the cameras stopped rolling. Everyone knew why. Dylan Wang had made his choice clear, and it was not her. But what no one expected was Bai Lu stepping forward, breaking her own silence, and delivering words so sharp and honest that they shattered the fragile hope Shen Yue had been holding on to. It happened late in the evening, long after most of the crew had left. The lights were dim, the set quiet, the air heavy with unfinished emotions. Shen Yue sat alone in the corner, staring at her phone, rereading old messages she should have deleted but could not bring herself to erase. Her eyes were tired, her posture folded inward, like someone trying to protect a heart already in pieces. That was when Bai Lu walked in. There was no dramatic entrance, no raised voice, just steady footsteps and a calm presence that immediately shifted the energy in the room. Shen Yue looked up, surprised, caught off guard by the one person she did not expect to see that night. Bai Lu did not sit down immediately. She stood there for a moment, watching Shen Yue, taking in the quiet pain written all over her face. Then she spoke, softly but firmly. "You cannot keep doing this to yourself." Shen Yue froze. Her fingers tightened around her phone. She tried to smile, tried to brush it off, but Bai Lu was not there for polite conversation. "I have stayed quiet long enough," Bai Lu continued. "Not because I did not care, but because I hoped you would see it on your own. Dylan has made his choice. And you are still standing here, waiting for him to change his mind." The words landed hard. Shen Yue shook her head, her voice trembling as she finally spoke. "You do not understand. It is not that easy. I cannot just move on like nothing happened." Bai Lu finally sat down, closer now, her expression serious, but not cruel. "I understand more than you think. And that is exactly why I am saying this. Loving someone who cannot choose you will destroy you slowly, day by day, until there is nothing left." Tears welled in Shen Yue's eyes. She looked away, her breathing uneven. Every part of her wanted to argue, to defend Dylan, to cling to the memories that still felt real. But Bai Lu was relentless, not out of malice, but out of honesty. "He is not confused," Bai Lu said quietly. "He is not stuck. He chose. And every moment you stay here, hoping, you are choosing pain over yourself." That was when Shen Yue broke. Her shoulders shook as the tears finally spilled over, years of restraint collapsing in seconds. She covered her face, her voice muffled as she whispered, "I thought if I stayed quiet, if I waited, he would come back." Bai Lu reached out, placing a hand on Shen Yue's arm, grounding her. "He will not. And even if he did, it would never be the way you deserve. You should not have to beg to be chosen." The room felt smaller, heavier, filled with truths that could no longer be ignored. Outside, the city lights glowed softly, unaware of the emotional earthquake happening within those walls. Shen Yue lifted her head slowly, her eyes red, searching Bai Lu's face for reassurance, for mercy, for any sign that she was wrong. But Bai Lu did not look away. "Leave him for good," Bai Lu said. "Not because he is bad, but because staying will break you beyond repair." Those words echoed in Shen Yue's mind long after Bai Lu stood up and walked toward the door. She paused once, turning back for a final glance. "You are stronger than this," Bai Lu added. "But strength only matters when you use it." When the door closed, Shen Yue was left alone with the truth. The phone slipped from her hand onto the floor. The messages, the memories, the what-ifs, they suddenly felt heavier than ever before. That night, Shen Yue did something she had not done in weeks. She went home without checking her phone. She did not wait for a message that would never come. She sat in the darkness, letting the pain wash over her, not fighting it, not denying it. Across the city, Dylan Wang laughed with friends, unaware of the conversation that might change everything. Or perhaps he sensed it. Perhaps some part of him felt the distance growing, the invisible thread finally fraying. By morning, rumors were everywhere. Fans noticed Shen Yue unfollowing accounts. Observant eyes caught Bai Lu leaving the set earlier than usual. Speculation exploded online. Was this the end? Had something finally snapped? Shen Yue arrived on set later that day, with a different energy. Still quiet, still wounded, but no longer waiting. When Dylan passed by, their eyes met briefly. There was no accusation.
No tears.
Just a calm distance that startled him more than any confrontation ever could. Something had changed. Bai Lu watched from afar, saying nothing, knowing she had done what needed to be done. Sometimes love is not about comfort. Sometimes it is about telling the truth even when it hurts. And as fans continue to debate, analyze, and replay every moment, one question lingers heavier than the rest. Was Bai Lu right? Will Shen Yue finally move on? Or will Dylan Wang realize too late what he lost the moment she stopped waiting? Stay with the story. Watch every part. Share your thoughts below. Because this is not just drama. This is the reality of choosing yourself when love refuses to choose you. And the next chapter may shock everyone. If you thought Bai Lu's words ended the story, think again. What happened after Shen Yue tried to move on is what truly changed everything. Stay with this until the end, because one silent moment between Shen Yue and Dylan Wang sent shockwaves through everyone watching. The next few days felt unreal for Shen Yue. For the first time in weeks, she stopped checking her phone every few minutes. She stopped replaying old conversations in her head. She stopped waiting. On the outside, it looked like strength. On the inside, it felt like learning how to breathe again after holding her breath for too long. Bai Lu's words stayed with her, echoing in the quiet moments. Leave him for good. Choose yourself. Each time her resolve wavered, she repeated those words like a promise she was trying desperately not to break. On set, the change was impossible to miss. Shen Yue arrived earlier than usual, focused, calm, and distant. She greeted everyone politely, did her work, and kept her eyes forward. When Dylan Wang walked in, laughing as usual, he did not notice her at first. But when he did, something about her made him pause. She did not look at him. Not once. That absence hit harder than anger ever could. During rehearsal, Dylan found himself distracted. Lines he had delivered effortlessly before now felt hollow. His eyes kept drifting toward Shen Yue, expecting the familiar glance, the quiet understanding that had always been there. But it was gone. She spoke to others, smiled softly, and moved through the space like someone who had already closed a door. For the first time since making his choice, Dylan felt unsettled. Later that afternoon, a short break was announced. Dylan watched as Shen Yue stepped outside alone, heading toward the quiet side of the building. Something inside him shifted. Without thinking, he followed. She stood near the railing, staring at the distance, her expression unreadable. Dylan cleared his throat softly. She did not turn around.
Shen Yue, he said.
Silence. He took a step closer. I just wanted to check on you. She finally turned, her face calm but guarded. I am fine. The words were polite. Too polite. Dylan felt it immediately. This was not the Shen Yue who once wore her heart openly. This was someone who had learned restraint the hard way. You seem different, Dylan said, trying to sound casual. She nodded.
People change.
That was it.
No accusación. No tears. No explanación.
And somehow, that hurt more than anything he had imagined. That night, Dylan could not sleep. For the first time, the confidence he carried began to crack. He replayed Bai Lu's presence around Shen Yue, the subtle way she seemed steadier, clearer, no longer orbiting around him. A quiet fear crept in. Not fear of losing attention, but fear of having been important once, and no longer being so. Meanwhile, Shen Yue sat alone at home, holding a cup of tea that had gone cold. She was proud of herself for not reaching out. But pride did not erase pain. Moving on was not loud.
It was slow.
It was lonely. It was choosing silence over familiar hurt. Messages poured in from fans, from friends, from people who sensed something had shifted. She replied to none of them. Healing, she realized, did not need an audience. The turning point came days later during a group event. Cameras flashed. Laughter filled the room. Shen Yue stood beside Bai Lu, listening more than speaking. Dylan watched them from across the room, something heavy pressing against his chest. When Shen Yue laughed at something Bai Lu whispered, Dylan felt it. That laugh was not for him anymore. After the event, Dylan approached Bai Lu quietly. You talked to her, didn't you? Bai Lu met his gaze, unflinching.
Yes.
He hesitated. What did you say? The truth, Bai Lu replied. The kind people avoid because it makes things uncomfortable. Dylan exhaled slowly. And now she is leaving. No, Bai Lu said calmly. She already left.
You just did not notice until now.
Those words followed Dylan long after Bai Lu walked away. The next morning, Shen Yue posted again. Nothing dramatic. Just a photo of the sunrise, soft light spilling across the sky.
No caption.
But fans understood. It was not about heartbreak anymore. It was about beginning again. Dylan stared at the post for a long time before putting his phone down. For the first time, he wondered if making a choice did not mean winning something, but losing someone quietly, permanently, and without the chance to undo it. Shen Yue was finally moving forward.
Slowly. Carefully.
Honestly. And Dylan Wang was finally realizing the cost of certainty. The question now is no longer whether Shen Yue can move on. The real question is whether Dylan can live with the moment she did.
Stay tuned.
Because the next part brings a confrontation no one expects and a realization that may come far too late.